Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Synema Cinergy, because Hollywood is out of ideas. But they're not.
Not yet. It's getting there, ...
No, this is just an excuse to watch older movies for a certain value of the term, because they are connected, if tenuously, to something that is coming out in theaters.
Right.
I'm Cody, aka the Scarlet Troll.
And I am Greg, aka Greg.
And this month, we have a real problem, Greg.
Oh, is that right?
They're coming for us.
They are coming for us, indeed.
What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do when they come for us?
It's Bad Boys!
It's Bad Boys!
Yeah, the original 1995 Bad Boys, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, the launching point of the Bad Boys franchise, with Bad Boys Ride or Die about to come out this June, and also the feature directorial debut of Michael Bay.
Oh, man. If I'm honest, when I saw Michael Bay come out as the director, I was just like, okay.
Yeah, not a great realization.
No, not at all. But also realization of how long he's been at this, too.
True. And I will say, him being the director goes a long way to explaining how I feel about this movie, because I hate it.
I don't hate it, but it's not a good movie. It is a very strange movie.
I'm pretty sure the order of operations in my history with the Bad Boy franchise is I watched Bad Boys for Life,
which was genuinely a good time.
I was very pleasantly surprised by that one. So I decided, You know what? I'm gonna try to watch the other Bad Boys movies. And I tried watching this one, and I stopped halfway through and went, this is just garbage. And then, that was 4 years ago. So I came back to it just this week with fresh eyes, ready to give it another shot, and it turns out still terrible. I feel like this is a movie where I have to strap myself into a Clockwork Orange-style reconditioning machine just to get myself to pay attention. There are little bits and pieces here and there that I like, there are little bits of cinematography that I like, there are lines that get a chuckle, but on the whole, this is a miserable goddamn experience.
Yeah. This movie, ooh boy.
This is ordinarily where I'd start explaining the premise, but you do it, I'm bitter.
It's Martin Lawrence and Will Smith being detectives in Miami in 1995, with piss filters abound.
God! It doesn't last the whole movie, but it opens on such a piss filter.
It opens on such a bad piss filter, and it's like, okay, I know they're trying to play up the whole Florida summer thing, which we, of course, know about because both of us live in Florida. And while I've never personally visited Miami, I've been to the beaches around the area that we live. It's never that aggressive.
I've been to Tampa. It's not that pissy.
Yeah, no, I've never been to Miami, but I have been to Daytona. I have been to Jacksonville years ago when I was a kid. I've been all up and down Clearwater and St. Pete and all that. I have never, ever gone outside and be like, man, it looks like Need for Speed Most Wanted today. How about that?
Crazy.
It's like it opened with that, and I was just like, oh, we're in for a great time.
I feel like the weirdest thing for me is, I was doing research on this movie, and I found that apparently when it was released, even a lot of people who didn't like it were praising Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's chemistry, which is confusing to me, because as far as I can tell, they fucking hate each other.
I don't know. I can tell from how they interact, it's like kind of the begrudging, bickering kind of love, like having a friend that you genuinely care for, but you two can agree on everything. But it is a thing of they're saying, it's like, oh yeah, the chemistry in this movie was great. Alright, I can see what they're going for, but no, they literally spend half of this movie fighting with each other.
And the occasional odd moment of genuine friendship and camaraderie feels insanely out of place, especially when it's started by something inanely stupid, which is most of this movie.
Yeah, a lot of the conflicts, both between our main characters and with the other characters in the movie, do kind of, I know it's not great for movie making, but a lot of it's just things like, can you just shut the hell up so the other guy can explain it?
This whole movie's infuriating. This is in fact a mid-90s comedy in all the worst ways. It's also a mid-90s cop film in all the worst ways.
It's a mid-90s buddy cop action comedy film.
Except I don't believe they're buddies. I think they're one bad day away from shooting each other in the head.
I mean, both of them come close to shooting each other in the head multiple times just in the course of this movie.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know, to give an actual synopsis, Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett are longtime police detectives who are investigating a out-of-nowhere theft of $100 million worth of evidence from police headquarters. Evidence
it's heroin.
That they Heroin, yes. I don't know. It's freaking YouTube. I don't know if YouTube's gonna get at us if we call it the H word.
It's drugs, kids!
It's drugs, kids!
Don't do them!
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. We were kind of, like, a quick caveat. Me and my coworkers were all talking about the D.A.R.E program when we were kids, and how for me as a little kid...
What a waste of time that was.
Yeah, and it's a thing of, like, for me as a little kid in elementary school, because by the time I was 8, I was full-on car nerd. Like, I loved cars, like, very, very young. And they would always come with the Lamborghinis, Dodge Vipers, Corvettes that have all been seized from drug dealers and have cop lights on them, but they're still pimped out and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, kids, these cars were confiscated from drug dealers. And my takeaway from that was always, so what you're saying is that drug dealers made enough money to buy a Dodge Viper.
Shit, I should sell some drugs!
Yeah! Or steal $100 million worth of drugs from Will Smith.
I do, but I can sell them. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking program.
Yeah, I know. What's funny about this movie, and something I completely forgot about at this
point...
Oh,
there's something funny about this movie?
Point it out to me. It's funny in the very beginning, because they, go through the opening crawl of who's there and all that. And freaking Martin Lawrence comes up before Will Smith. It's like, that's right! He was very much a significantly more established actor at this point than Will Smith was.
Yeah, production on this was apparently very fast, specifically because Lawrence and Smith both had their own shows going on at the time. Lawrence had Morton, and Smith had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Although interestingly, this movie wasn't originally made with them in mind.
Oh, is that right?
No, the original title was Bulletproof Hearts, and it was initially written for Dana Carvey and John Lovitz.
Those are names.
This would have been a very different movie.
Yeah.
You remember Master of Disguise?
Vaguely.
That's Dana Carvey.
Oh, God.
You remember Garth from Wayne's World?
Yes.
That's also Dana Carvey.
Yeah, that... You would not have been able to make the same movie with these two dudes.
No, absolutely not.
Not even close.
I don't know that it would have been better?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
No, I don't see it being better, for sure.
Also, interestingly, even after they moved away from Carvey and Lovitz, Mike Lowry, originally they approached Arsenio Hall about it.
Ha! Ha! I feel like that actually would have been pretty cool if they had Arsenio Hall do this.
He then turned it down, and apparently has since said that that's the worst mistake he's ever made.
Yeah! Yeah, I can understand why, because even though this series as a whole, this franchise as a whole, is not exactly the greatest, it has been a moneymaker. This movie was a ridiculous moneymaker. It had a budget of $19 million and apparently made $140 million at the box office when it came out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely impressive. It also beat out a Goofy movie on its opening weekend, which I hate it for, but... This has nothing to do with that.
No.
I also just hate it because I don't think it's a good movie.
No, it's not a particularly good movie. Obviously, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are the main focus of the movie, and they're fine, I guess? Again, a lot of the time with them on screen is very much hurt by, we're supposed to believe that they're best friends, but they literally fight with each other for half of the movie and pull guns on one each other for like a quarter of the movie. At a certain point, it reminded me of seeing Anakin go apeshit in Episode 2 of Star Wars, and I'm just sitting there like, this is the chosen one? Are y'all sure about that?
You're the guy. This is the guy.
Yeah, and it's like, are you sure y'all just didn't miss a line on the roll call? Ah, shit, we miscounted. They're just weird because, Marcus is the typical family man detective, and Will Smith is the young player who comes from money, which I'm annoyed that that's never really brought up more. The first thing is that he starts the movie driving a Porsche 911 Turbo 3.6.
$105,000 car, I think he said?
Yes, and an extremely rare car. Porsche only made 1,500 of those specific cars. So that is an expensive car. I definitely think it's more than $105,000 now. So it's a thing of, how do you have that? Although, while being a loving car nerd and a lover of all things four wheels and fast, if there is any bit of banter that I do appreciate and side with, it is Martin Lawrence going, you paid $105,000 for this car and it doesn't have a cup holder.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was just like, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Also, you just dropped fries all over his car.
Yeah, but also fuck you.
If I'm honest, the big part of the problem for me is that Martin Lawrence's character sucks.
Oh, his character sucks.
Don't get me wrong, he's got some legitimate grievances, but also half of this shit is just his refusal to explain anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing that kind of goes into the whole thing of how he's a lot of the issue of you wouldn't have as many problems if you just explain what was going on, especially in regards to everything going on with his wife and all, because that just feels really drawn out.
That is all entirely your fault, Marcus.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's 90% your fault. The other 10% is the fact that your wife doesn't seem to get she married a cop.
Yeah, which is very infuriating. Because that was part of it for me, too, is, like, of course, given, like, the severity of the case that they're investigating, obviously there's certain things that he can't tell her. But I'm pretty sure you could say, yeah, there's a deep case going on, I can't really tell you what's happening, but such and such is going down, that's why there is a really hot white woman living with me right now.
On the flip side, I think he could have told her everything. I don't see, like, okay, obviously, that's a security risk, I get that.
Yes, yes.
In a relationship, I feel like none of those details are ones where giving her that info, or at least a basic summary, is really gonna hurt anything.
Fair.
Especially because it's so fucking wacky. Yeah,
and trying to also explain the very attractive, but also very stupid.
God, I hate Tia Leone in this! Like, her acting is fine. She's fine she's doing a fine job for what she's meant to be doing, but what she's meant to be doing is being the dumbest, most insufferable fucking witness ever, and she deserves a bullet to the head. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it's a certain point, I don't know, this might be my just guy brain going off, but at a certain point I'm just like, y'all are trying to make us forgive how stupid she is because she's really hot.
I will say, not to get too political, but I feel like increasingly my dim view of this movie is colored by my increasingly dim view of the police as an institution and really the American government as a whole. But it makes shit like them entering a house without a warrant because, oh, look at that, I leaned on the door, a lot harder to take.
Yeah.
I know it's against really bad people, I know it's against drug dealers, still hard to swallow. It makes Max's death sting even more because it's like, oh, look at that, a civilian's killed doing a cop job.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hate it. And you have the balls to act all man-hurt about it.
Yeah. And then the whole thing about, well, even though it's only a glimpse, about the madam being killed, too.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Is it now?
Like, that was actually kind of chilling, pretty well shot. I like the camera work.
You know what, I can get that, because it's like, at a certain point, it's just like, oh, this is a very foreboding and honestly kind of artsy scene. I did appreciate that much while watching it. I thought it was just going to be because Will Smith got his ass laid out at the end of it.
No, actually, I felt kind of bad about that.
Fair.
So, part of the idea is that they're trying to track down this heroine, and so Mike gets an old friend to look into something. She brings her friend along on this thing. Things go south. Mike's friend gets shot. The other friend gets away, but she calls the police, but says she'll only talk to Mike, but right at that moment, Mike's not at the station, he's looking into a thing, and she insists, if I can't talk to Mike Lowry, I'm gonna skip town. So, their boss, Joe Pantoliano, playing Captain Conrad Howard, basically forces Marcus to pretend to be Mike. And they continue this charade throughout the entire goddamn thing.
For far too long.
Entirely too long.
Which I wasn't expecting. I figured it was going to be a thing if he'll come up and be like, you're not Mike. It's like, no, I'm not Mike. I'm his partner. He's not here right now. And it's like, oh, they're continuing the bit. God damn it, I committed the cardinal sin. I expected too much from a movie.
There are two separate moments where I thought, oh, okay, this is, they moved past this, right? Only, no, they're still keeping it going. And the first time was when he first shows up at her place and she starts swinging the bat and he goes, I did care about Max.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's worded makes it sound like he's saying he's admitting he's not Mike, because he never actually refutes that as far as I can tell. But she keeps going with it. And then, halfway through, once she starts talking to both of them, I fully expected there was going to be a point where they were going to be like, okay, look, here's the thing. I'm Mike, here's my ID, here's my badge.
Mm-hmm.
This is my partner, we had to send him to cover because I was busy looking into this thing. But no, they have to keep it going for maximum drama. It sucks. Bob from Becker is in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's Chet, the doorman at Mike's building.
Oh.
I saw that and I did a double take and I was like, is that Bob?
You know what's real bad? During the whole hotel shootout, when like that happens where they kidnap Julie, as it's going down, like Shet gets to the ground, I was like, damn it, they didn't kill Shet. It's like, I know that's harsh, but Shed is actually insufferable for the very small amount of screen time he has.
Yeah, no, Marcus pretending to be Mike is where I officially checked out of the movie, because I was just like, this is dumb. It's not funny, it's stupid, I can tell this is gonna come back to bite them in a really frustrating way where it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't tell his wife any of this, which, how long have you been fucking married?
I mean, long enough to produce 3 children.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he's just hanging around Mike's place, just having Julie annoy the piss out of him, which, okay, you know what my least favorite part of the movie is? It's the stupidest thing on the fucking planet. There's a bit where they're looking at that mugshots on a computer or something, and he offers her a bite of a bologna sandwich, and apparently she's a vegetarian, but since it's the mid-90s, you know, she's one of those super annoying kind.
Yeah.
And then she goes something like, you know that bologna belonged to a creature that had a face, possibly a name. Yeah, my bologna has a first name. It's OSCAR. It probably had 30 names, because you know they just take the feet, the tail, the ears, and all the stuff that nobody wants, they grind it up into a gel, and then they fold it into a sheet, and that's where your bologna comes from. And all I could think was, you know, I'll fully admit that industrialized meat production produces a lot of waste, both in the food waste sense and in the sense of it produces a lot of pollution. But you're not arguing from that perspective, you're just arguing from the gross perspective. And on that side of things, I would argue that recycling a lot of the parts that most people turn their noses at due to cultural expectations of what's acceptable to eat and what isn't, and turning it into something that we actually will eat, is a pretty economical use of resources. But go off with your holier-than-thou bullshit, I suppose, you dumb fucking moron! I think that was about the point where I paused the movie and made a hot dog omelet.
Ooh, hot dog omelet, you say.
Turned out pretty alright. What you do is, you just take a hot dog, you dice it into little chunks, you take the egg mixture, you know, when you beat the eggs and turn it into functionally scrambled eggs or omelet mixture, you season it with some cumin, some chili powder, some onion powder, I threw some ground mustard in there, I don't know if it did anything. Did I say garlic powder? So, and then you throw cheese on it and some pickle relish, and and then you put ketchup on it at the end when it's all done.
So, the thing about all of that is that what you just described is stoner food. Most people make up or get stoner food when they're high. You make stoner food when you get angry at movies.
I do!
That's like Waffle House shit.
I'm gonna go stuff this in my face instead of watching this stupid movie. Also, I'd forgive this movie a lot if the villain was actually cool. He's not. He's an idiot.
He's not. It's like, what's the thing about the villain? It's like, he's a drug dealer. Okay. He's French. Okay. He has a deep, foreboding accent. It's like, you got anything else?
And he's a psychopath who kills people for no reason, even when they're just... He's one of those, I don't care about excuses, just fucking do it. Bitch, the people you hired to do this thing that you are incapable of doing are telling you it's more difficult. You're one of those fucking middle management assholes who fucking just takes it out on everybody below you, except you've got a fucking gun.
It really killed me in that aspect when the Dexter guy, I forget his actual name, but the guy who's cooking up the heroin, he's like, what the hell's going on? Well, it's taking longer to process the heroin because of all the humidity. It's like, get it done. You're in fucking Miami! What the fuck is wrong with you?
Get this man a dehumidifier, you stupid fuck!
You're basically telling God, hey, stop making it wet.
Moron!
What the
How
hell?
did he get in charge of this? How did he set this up?
I don't know. I want to know who his manager is and file a complaint about him. Oh,
it continues to get worse because there's a little bit of mid-90s blatant homophobia, because of course there is.
Oh, of course, absolutely. During that bit, I'm just like, oh wait, that's right, this movie came out in 95. Yep. Continue.
And then it gets intolerably bad when they're following up on a lead at the... I lost track of how their investigation went or how they found anything.
Oh no, there was this... Yeah, like, when the whole club thing happened and when they blow up the dude in the Camaro, I'm just like, I have no idea what's happening at this point.
I checked out when they were talking about going to the club, and Julie wants to go, and then she's like, yeah, I've just kind of been stuck in here. You insisted on this!
Yeah.
You're the one who's like, I'm not going into regular protective custody, I'm not gonna follow the process. Shut the fuck up!
Yeah, you kind of lost your rights to complain.
And then she shows up anyway, tries to take a shot at the guy who killed Max when she gets a beat on him, ends up causing a whole fucking scene because they spot her, and it turns into a goddamn car chase in an ice truck.
Yes, loaded with, what was it, methane? Or ether? Ether, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the ether that he needed to process the heroin or whatever, so you did set him back, but that was on accident.
Yeah, that was not planned. You do not get to take credit for it as some, like, genius move. You failed upwards in that aspect.
And then, I will say that does lead to one of the funnier scenes, which is when they're in the convenience store, and the clerk, played by Sean Tobe, who's Yinsen from Iron Man, which makes this whole thing even funnier.
Okay.
Mistakes them for robbers, and I don't know, I feel like this is a racist caricature of a store clerk.
Oh, quite.
I don't know for sure, because...
No, I would say it was when he's like, I'm from the Middle East, I killed a lot of people. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you know what, you're right, that's pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. But it does lead to the good, and also apparently improvised, line of, no, you freeze, bitch! Now back up, put the gun down, and get me a pack of tropical fruit Bubblicious.
And some Skittles. Yeah.
That was a pretty good scene. It's bizarre, it's weird.
It's quite weird.
And it's even weirder for the fact that that's Yinsen.
Yeah.
Now, the longer this movie goes on, the more I hate it.
Oh god, the second half of this movie is a struggle.
Until the third act, at which point it circles back around into absolutely fucking insane, and if the rest of the movie hadn't been completely insufferable getting to it, I might have had a fun time.
Because we find out all this other shit about how... Well, actually, before that, Julie gets kidnapped.
She does, in the middle of a shootout that doesn't happen because Marcus's wife found out about the whole thing and assumed he was having an affair because he was too stupid to tell her that he was doing a mission and made up some shit about going to Cleveland for a federal subpoena.
And that actually pissed me off at the end. When the shootout happens, they kidnap Julie, he gives her the gun and goes, go back up to the apartment. She goes, I love you, Mike. He's like, no! Don't reward that bullshit! Yeah, he protected your ass, but goddamn.
I made a note when they kidnap Julie, I hope they kill her and hate that they won't. She does get one good line near the end of the movie, though, which is when the one fat minion is saying a bunch of gross, pervy stuff to her, and she just goes, did you go to college?
Yeah, okay, that did get a slight chuckle out of me.
that I had to pause.
Yeah! No, what got me, and actually the thing that made me pause because of how much it caught me off guard, because also of how badly the line was delivered, was they've kidnapped Julie, she's in the car with the henchmen, and then one of the henchmen just goes, you got sexy ears. I want to lick them. I just paused, because I just started laughing uncontrollably at that. I was like, this is so stupid. This guy was probably like, oh shit, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence ad-libbed, I can ad-lib too, because I refuse to believe that that was actually written in the script.
Would you believe me if I told you that character was played by Michael Bay?
Really?
No, I made that up, but I had you for a second.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, goddamn. But then, with the whole police investigation, one of the things that's brought up only a couple times, but is an extremely important thing, is that the drug dealer and all that is constantly finding out about their next move, and no one can figure out why. And literally, within the last 15 minutes of the movie, we find out that the way they're getting their intel is because one of the secretaries in the police station is the ex-girlfriend of one of the henchmen. Finds out, it's like, oh, they've been doing that because they apparently took very forced naughty pictures of her, and they were threatening to blackmail her with them. And it's a thing of, I can see that, and I don't want to, like, discount how absolutely awful that is. But part of my brain just kind of went, this feels like they're like, oh shit, we need to cover this hole that we left in the plot, so it all makes sense at the end. It just was kind of like, I think because it was also wasn't helped by, at that point, I was very much drained with the movie, so the impact that was supposed to have did not sit with me.
Yeah. The end of the movie when they get to that final shootout, though, that was actually a pretty fun time. I would have had a really great time if the rest of the movie had been better, or if that had started earlier. I have never related harder to a line than when Mike goes, my shit always works sometimes!
It's like, oh, no, I don't like that. I did not come to this 1995 action movie with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith for relatable content.
And the most rapt attention it got from me was that flaming corpse flying out of the airplane when Marcus blows it up.
Oh, I missed that.
I was just staring at it like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Where were you hiding this?
What we can take from that is that that's Michael Bay saying, ho ho, there's more to come of this shit. Y'all haven't seen anything yet. I'm gonna make an entire career based off that.
I'm gonna make a Transformers movie where the aspect ratio changes mid-conversation.
Hell yeah.
I'll never get over that. If I live to be 100.
Now, I will say, just for the sake of transparency, while I will dog on Michael Bay, but I have still not seen 13 Hours, and from what I understand, that is an extremely good movie.
I have not seen that either. So, movie ends with them basically getting in a car chase down the tarmac with Fouché, and they force him to crash into a concrete barrier, but he's still alive. and then Will Smith shoots him in the leg, and is gonna execute him point blank, but Marcus talks him out of it, only for Shay to try to shoot Marcus, so Mike has to plug him full of bullets anyway. And then it turns out that it was actually just a little Super Soaker water pistol. I'm kidding, but...
No, I mean, it did kind of look like it. Yeah, it's some weird...
It's just a little, like, single-shot pistol thing or something.
Yeah, it's like a single-shot pistol with 4 barrels. It looks like one of... There were guns made between the Boer War and World War I called Howa pistols. It kind of looks like one of those.
How about that?
Yeah. Shh. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm quite proud.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I had a wretched time watching this.
This is not a particularly great movie.
Nah. Who knows? Maybe I'll watch Bad Boys 2 at some point, but...
Mm-hmm. I realized that for years I thought that I had actually seen this movie, but watching it I realized, like, oh no, what I've seen is Bad Boys 2.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh no.
But no, I like Bad Boys for Life. I'm still gonna watch Ride or Die because, well, now we've made this episode, so it's kind of a sunk cost.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of weird if I didn't see it, but ugh. They sure don't make them like this anymore. Thank God.
No, they did not.
You know the really funny thing about this? I like the actual theme more than I like the Bad Boys song.
Really?
Oh yeah, the music goes da 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 da.
Oh, right.
Da, 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 and they keep putting slight different spins on it here and there, or maybe they don't, and just different sections are sticking with me at different points of the movie, but I like that.
Right.
There are things here and there that I like, which just makes the overall experience all the more frustrating. Huh. Got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Great. One of these days I'm gonna figure out how to do an outro, so I'm just gonna say, thanks for watching, everybody. As a hint for next time, Auntie M?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good hint.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all you get.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.